Jackie's coming. Good morning, everyone. Intermediate Spanish. If you're not here for that, you need to write in and say, I'm not here for that. We had one issue that someone wasn't quite sure how to get to the comments section by scrolling down. So I hope no one has that issue. I wasn't sure it was a different class, so I'm not sure what the exact problem was. So we're in lesson 12, and I have a flag where we begin the imperative. Does anyone know what imperative is? It means it's a command. It may be more or less imperative. It might be have a good day, or it might be get out of here. Those are both commands in English. In Spanish, they work a little differently. And so what we're going to do is go over that. They start out by dividing it between the ustedes, and I'm not quite sure why they started with the plural. And then they do nosotros, and then they do the tú. So, the imperative for ustedes and usted follow the same pattern. As you probably would realize from looking at it, the plural has the N ending, and the singular does not have the N ending. It just has the vowel. Now, as you are coached to read the right-hand column, the essential difference between a singular usted command and a plural ustedes command is the addition of the N after the and then they put in parentheses opposite theme vowel. We'll talk about theme vowel. Basically, it seems like a more than a more technical a term than you need to have. The theme vowel for AR verbs is A, and the theme vowel for ER and IR verbs is E. You know that from your conjugations, so it shouldn't be a difficult concept. And the notion with imperatives in the formal, meaning the usted and ustedes, is that you switch the vowel that you customarily use in an indicative conjugation. So, for entrar and ustedes, the first example, entren ustedes. Now, ustedes entran is you are coming in. You all are coming in. Entren ustedes, with the verb first, is a command form. That's saying y'all come in. Okay? And it says, señores, pasen ustedes por favor. What's the infinitive of the verb? Pasar. It's an AR verb, so we've switched the theme vowel in the command form. That we do with the formal, the usted and ustedes. We do it a little different in the familiar, but we'll get there. So, but we end up finding out that if you look down a few more lines after escuchen and esperen, this is page 258, vayan ustedes con Felipe. Now, vaya is the imperfect or the command form. In this case, it is not the imperfect, it's the subjunctive of ir. So, vayan ustedes con Felipe. Y'all go with Philip. Diviértanse. Now, what's happened here? We have a reflexive. The se is reflexive. We know that the infinitive is divertirse, so it's an IR verb. And what's happened is diviértanse is using the other theme vowel, so it's just a switcheroo in the command forms, especially with usted and ustedes. So diviértanse means you all have a good time. Divert yourselves, literally. Empiecen ahora el examen. Now that comes from empezar with a Z. Spanish doesn't like to use the Z before the E or the I, so it switches back to the C. So we had the infinitive empezar, and that has the S sound before the A. Notice that empiecen or empiece goes back to the C. Theoretically, it wouldn't need to, but it does. If you have comments, be sure to enter them anytime along the way. And Desiree will let me know that someone is not following every word I say. Now, after empiecen ahora el examen, meaning ustedes, y'all, begin the test now. We'll do that in a little while. Now, denme esos discos. What is the verb here for denme? It's dar. So that's why the E is in the verb. What happens with a command with object pronouns? They get tacked onto the end when the command is in the positive. We'll see soon that in the negative we put the personal pronoun before the verb. So, denme esos discos. Y'all give me those records. Jueguen ustedes al ping pong. Y'all play ping pong. No me digan eso. Diga is from decir, because digo, the first person singular, in the indicative is where we get the subjunctive root.
You have a question, Tom.
Okay, question.
So the command for usted would be de?
Yes. So instead of denme, ustedes is implied there. It would be deme. Deme esos discos. Without the N. That makes sense. Good question. So, no me digan eso. Now we have a negative command. We see the me precedes the verb digan. No me digan eso. Don't y'all tell me that. Whatever that is. Eso, by the way, with esto and esto, eso and aquel, the O ending signifies a neuter. And it's used usually because there's nothing specific that can be referred to with a this, that, and that over there, which would imply a specific gender. So, for example, with denme esos discos, discos is masculine, so esos goes with that. But 2 lines down where it says no me digan eso, eso is a singular, but we don't know what that in this case is. It isn't a specific item with a gender.
So I think we're still back, just because the comments are a bit delayed. Alan,
Okay.
I think is still asking, so the usted would be de. He's asking D-E-E-M. It's supposed to be dem.
Okay. This was denme esos discos, right? Denme esos discos. For the singular, deme. Can you see that? Is that showing up? And what we've done with dar is changed the theme vowel to an E. And that's
Yeah,
this.
he says, never mind, he had the wrong spelling.
Okay, well, that's good. It takes a little getting used to it first, but it makes perfect sense when you get used to it, believe me. So we go then to the next one. Jueguen ustedes al ping pong. Now, what's that infinitive? Oops, I'm caught in my own wire here. Oops. That's fine. It wrapped itself around my shoelace. This is what we used to say, look how suave and debonair I am, instead of suave and debonair. I'm all wrapped around this thing. There we go. I am now free. I didn't cost that much in the first place. So the next one here, after diviértanse and empiecen ahora el examen, denme esos discos, is jueguen ustedes al ping pong. The verb jugar, an AR verb. We need to change this, what they call the theme vowel, to an E. And we know that the U becomes a UE when it's conjugated, like juegan.
Is your microphone still on? Yeah.
I may have dislodged. No, it's still here.
Okay. There we go.
I think we're back and connected now.
Okay. Can you go over the Hugar part?
Okay.
Sorry.
If we take this verb jugar, we know we have to switch this to an E. And we know that when you conjugate this verb, the U becomes a UE when the stress falls on that syllable. So, for example, juego, I play. Now, it's an AR verb. We want an E here. But if we just put the E there, preceded by a G, we would be spelling the sound of juegue. But that's where the silent U comes in to preserve the hard G sound. Juegue or jueguen, either way. I don't do very well sitting down. Jueguen or jueguen. Juegue or jueguen. Juegue usted, jueguen ustedes. Now let's go and use another verb that has a spelling change. Decir. I'm going to have to get over here so get this thing to work right. Decir. And you remember that in the indicative, the I say is digo. And just like so many other verbs that have a G in the first person singular in the indicative, that's going to go into the subjunctive. So diga or digan is the command form for speak. Diga usted or digan ustedes. The other thing that happens is in the positive command, dígame requires an accent added to preserve the stressed syllable. So dígame, speak to me, which is the way in Spain they answer the telephone. They say, dígame, talk to me. Okay? So the plural would be díganme. Just comes with the N. Ustedes is a plural, is the, and usted, the singular. And the reason they use that, because there are now familiar commands that we use with tú and even another with vosotros, which mean tú, y tú, right? The plural of tú. They will revert back to the inherent theme vowel. So that can be a little confusing at first. Now with the negative command, the personal object pronoun comes before the verb. So, dígame, the negative is no me diga. Which is like saying you don't say. So farther down, no me traigan esos papeles. Traiga, from the traigo, remember in the indicative, first person, I bring, traigo. You use that same root, T-R-A-I-G. So, no me traigan esos papeles. No me los traigan. In this case, where los, based on the previous example, refers to los papeles. In other words, it doesn't need to be explicit if it's understood what that object is. And you'll remember, even in the indicative, when you have both an indirect and a direct object, right? Me is the indirect and papeles is the direct. When you put them both in pronouns, the indirect becomes before direct. So there's no me los traigan. Question.
From Alan. So, juegue would be pronounced wehe?
If you didn't have the U.
He has J-U-E-G-E. How do you pronounce that?
You don't have that form, and the reason you don't is because they want to preserve this hard G, so they use the silent U. Juegue. Make that clearer. Is everyone able to see on your screen this stuff? Is it large enough? If not, just put in there write bigger. So, no me traigan esos papeles. Don't bring me those papers. When it's clear that it's referring to papeles, which is a masculine singular, no me los traigan. No lean esa revista. No la lean, where la would be understood to be la revista, or esa revista. Page 259, no pidan más café. Okay, so we have pido in the indicative first person singular. And And we use that root for our subjunctive. Hago is the indicative of hacer in the first person singular. In the subjunctive, the root HAG will be used. No hagan eso. Don't you all do that. No se quiten los zapatos aquí. Don't take off your shoes here. And remember, with personal effects, articles of clothing, that kind of thing, we use the definite article and we use an indirect or, in this case, a reflexive pronoun. Quitarse means to remove from oneself. So no se quiten, don't take off los zapatos aquí. Don't take the shoes of you off here, so to speak. But they don't use the possessive adjective, for example, with the noun. They don't say no quiten sus zapatos. That's bad Spanish. No se quiten los zapatos. Then there's an imperative using we, like let us, okay? Procurar means to try. Doesn't mean to procure, it means to try. Procuremos terminar antes de las 3. Let's try to finish before 3 o'clock. Volvamos mañana. Here, we've changed the theme vowel from volver to the a. Volvamos mañana. Let's return tomorrow. Salgamos ahora. Again, using the indicative first person singular root, salgo. Salgamos ahora. Let's leave now. Juguemos un poco. Juguemos, the silent U is needed because the silent U preserves the hard G sound in jugar. Then we have sirvamos. That's because sirvo is the first person singular in the indicative. Sigamos. Let's keep on. Let's continue charlando. Charlando is chatting. Now, remember we attach the personal pronoun, in this case a reflexive, onto the end of a positive command. So, but we want to keep the stress on the same syllable that we had in the original. So, pongamos is let's put. Pongámonos is let's put on el sombrero. El sombrero is in the singular because it's considered a collective thing. In English, we would say, let's put on our hats, plural. We don't do that in Spanish. There's only one hat, each person.
Question. Procurer.
Procurar.
Why is it not procuramos, since the infinitive ends in ER?
Procuraremos.
Why is it?
Wait, let's see. Where was that? Oh, procuremos. Because we're using the root that's not the full infinitive. Procurar is the infinitive. Procuramos is the indicative, okay? And that means we are trying. Procuremos the subjunctive, the command form, let's try. We're commanding ourselves to do something. This is literally what we're doing. Does that answer the question? I think I heard, why not procuraremos? Where we have the whole infinitive and then we add an ending to it. Well, that is a real Spanish word, and we use that for the future tense. Okay? So this means we will try, or we shall try. This means let us try. This means we're trying. We do try. Does that answer the question?
Alan said, my bad. I thought infinitive was P-R-O-C-U-E-R, but it should be A-R.
Right.
So, yes, that clarifies.
Procuremos changes that A vowel to an E when it's the command. Let's do it. And this simply, the way you do an infinitive, the future tense in Spanish is so easy. We use the whole infinitive and then we add an ending to it. It's that simple. So when we get there, you'll already know that. Now, I'm not sure why they start out with the negative for the to command, but I guess it makes sense because we've been using all these in subjunctive forms. So here we go. No me diga, you don't say. And in this case, no me digas más mentiras. This is a to command. No me digas. That S is signal that you're talking about the second person singular in the familiar. No te pongas ese sombrero ridículo. Don't put on that ridiculous hat. No te levantes a mediodía. Don't get up at noon. Paco, no me des más discos viejos. Paco, don't give me any more of those old records. Ana, no te sientes aquí. Now, here's where you can get confused because sentar means to sit, sentir means to feel, and this looks like sentir because it has an E, but that's because we changed the theme vowel, so it's really sentar. No te sientes aquí. That's from sentarse, to sit down. Now, if I were to change that to don't feel that way, I would come up with no te sientas así. Así meaning thus or that way. So that would be the switch. So sentir and sentar can be confusing if you don't keep it real straight, whether it's a command or other use of subjunctive or whether it's just the indicative. Teresa, no pagues la cuenta. Pagar is your infinitive. It has a hard G, so we want to use that silent E before we change the theme vowel to an E. No pagues la cuenta. That preserves the hard G sound. Pepe, no te quites los zapatos en clase. Joe, don't take your shoes off in class. Ramon, no duermas santo. Ray, don't sleep so much. Lalo, no seas malo. Lalo, don't be bad. From ser. Sea is the subjunctive form of ser. Sea, seas, seas, seamos, seais, sean, to use the whole conjugation. Present subjunctive. Don't be bad. Enrique, no vayas al cine esta noche. Again, we have an irregular subjunctive, vaya from ir. Enrique, no vayas al cine esta noche. Don't go to the movie tonight. Carmen, no leas esa revista. Carmen, don't read that magazine. Is it beginning to make sense? It's going to take a while to kind of get used to it. Page 260. Now it gets easy. You don't use the subjunctive in the positive command. You use the theme vowel as it was in the indicative conjugation. Pepe, habla con Cristina. Pepe, meaning tú, talk with Christine. Ramon, toma café. Ramon, have coffee, drink coffee. Esteban, paga la cuenta. Steve, pay the bill. Rafael, toca la guitarra. Rafael, play the guitar. Next page, 261. Pancho, baila con Ana Maria. Pancho, dance with Ana Maria. Alfredo, descansa un poco. Alfred, rest a little bit. Jerónimo, regresa a las 6. Geronimo, or I'm not sure what that English would be. I'll just call him Geronimo. Come back at 6 or go back at 6. Regresar means to return. Return at 6. So it can be either come back or go back, depending on what the context is, which we don't have. Dorotea, canta algo. Dorothy, sing something. Silvia, siéntate aquí. Siéntate aquí. Notice sentarse. We're using the same theme vowel in the familiar command. Siéntate aquí. Alberto, despiértate. Wake up, Albert. Pepito, estate quieto. Estate quieto. From estar, be quiet. Susana, dame tu paraguas. Susan, give me your umbrella. Carlitos, quítate ese sombrero. Carlitos, quítate ese sombrero. Take that hat off. The te means off of you, but it has to be explicit in English. I mean in Spanish, but in English it's just understood. Susana, dame tu paraguas. All right, we did that one. Carolina, juega un poco al tenis. Notice we reverted to the theme vowel for AR verbs, jugar. Cristobal, lee este poema. Ernest, read this poem. Notice that poema is a masculine noun. Este poema. One of those Greek derivatives. Ernesto, duerme un poco. Ernest, sleep a little bit. Angela, vive con Barbara. Angela, live with Barbara, meaning stay with her, lodge with her, whatever. Francisco, pide más café. Francisco is really, it has a nickname, Paco, P-A-C-O. Comment.
These rules for TU are too much to remember. I will only use the command for usted in the future, never for TU.
I don't know why you would say that, because you will be talking to people that you address with their first name on a first name basis with regularity. That's what the tu implies. That you're on a first name basis. You're friendly that way. And adults always speak to children in the familiar.
He said he'll only use the command for usted in the future. Is that?
No. It depends on to whom you're speaking. Here we don't really have too much of a context, except that we have the name of the person stated. Since it's a first name, that implies you use the tu. If it were a señor, señora, or whatever, you would use usted.
He said, and this is Alan, he said, I will command them with a smile.
Well, that's always good to do, whether you're using the familiar or the formal. Alan is my bright light, right? Okay. That'll shut him up. Quiet down, Alan. Okay, let's go back to Gines. That doesn't have an English equivalent as far as I know. Maybe it means gene, G-E-N-E. Repite estas palabras. Repeat these words. From repetir, an IR verb. Violeta, come un poquito más. Violet, eat a little more. Rosita, sírveme más limonada. Rosie, serve me more lemonade. Alicia, diviértete en la fiesta. Have a good time at the party. Gloria, escríbeme el año que viene. Gloria, write me next year. El año que viene. That's the hard way to say next year for us. But el año que viene literally means the year that's coming. So it means next year. Now, if we're talking about the next year after something happened in the past, we would use the adjective próximo. Pepe, óyeme, óyeme, from oír. That's different from the oigo. Oye and óyeme. That is the familiar. Esteban, corre 2 kilómetros. Steve, run 2 kilometers. Abre la ventana. Open the window. Aprende algo. Learn something. Quiéreme mucho. Love me a lot. Querer not only means to want, but it means to love when you're talking about people. There's that song. Quiéreme mucho. Anyway. So, is it clear? With 2 commands, in the positive, you use what looks like the indicative of the third person, singular. But you'll notice that in certain cases where you had the reflexive pronoun, looking back up at like the 5th one down, Silvia, siéntate aquí, to preserve the accent on the same syllable, when you add the reflexive pronoun siéntate, we have to add the accent to show that. Despiértate, the next one, wake up.
Teresa recommends that you sing the whole song.
I need the score. I don't have it.
And then at the bottom of 261,
right?
It says, this is a question, I think, more exceptions to memorize.
Well, they are, in a sense, exceptions, because they're abbreviated in the sense that the verbs don't use an ending so much; they just use a root in the familiar singular. Okay? These are all 2 commands. Di la verdad. No digas mentiras. Don't tell lies. No digas mentiras would be the opposite of that. Dime tu nombre. Tell me your name. Pepe, haz lo que te digo. Joe, do what I tell you. Hazlo ahora. Do it now. María, ve al mercado. Now, that looks like look at the market, but it's go to the market. Ve con Juan. It is irregular. Ramón, ve esa película. See that movie. Vela esta noche. See it tonight. These are irregular. They follow something of a pattern. Alfredo, pon el libro allí, from poner. If it's not Alfredo, if it was Señor something or other, it would be ponga el libro. Estela, sal ahora mismo. Leave now. Go on out now. Sal con Ana. Go out with Anna. Leave with Anna. If it were not a first name basis, if it would be usted, salga. Here's an irregular one. Pepe, sé profesor. Sé, you know, means in the indicative, I know something, from saber. It's an irregular first person singular in the indicative. In this case, it is a command form. Pepe, be a professor. Carlos, sé ingeniero. Charlie, be an engineer. Carolina, ten cuidado. Be careful. Rafael, ven acá. Rafael, come here. Ven con Adela. Irregulars, short ones, they require memorization, but once you've seen them a few times, it's pretty clear what you mean.
So Liviana she's kind of summing things up and just wanting to know if she's got it so far. Is it correct to summarize that the imperative form is similar to the present indicative, but with the following changes? And she has 6 of them listed. Verbs ending in AR, the A changes to E.
Yes.
2. Verbs ending in ER and IR, the E and the I change to A.
Right.
3. Nostros
Nosotros.
drops the S when attaching the flexing form of nos.
Exactly. Yes. Because it's just a tongue tire to say, I want to say, let's get up, levantémonos. No. Levantémonos. So that original S drops away in that first person plural command with the reflexive.
The 4th is to in the negative form. The 5th is to in the positive form is the same as the third person present indicative.
Generally, yes, except for these short ones at the bottom of page 261.
And that's what she said. And then there are the exceptions.
Right.
Okay. So, Liviana, she's doing great.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Liviana. I'll change places with you next class. Other questions up to now? Okay, page 262, and we'll wrap up these imperatives. Well, there's a little bit more, but imperative, affirmative with to versus the negative imperative with to. So we see both of them in each of these sentences. The first is the positive, the second is the negative. Pepe habla con Ana. As Livy pointed out, it looks like the third person singular indicative. No hables con Trine. Here we have the subjunctive form because the theme vowel A changed to an E. And the S signifies that we're speaking to a person that we address as tú. first person, second person singular. Ramon toma café. No tomes tequila. Ray, drink coffee, don't drink tequila. Concha, escribe un poema. Concha, write a poem. No escribas un ensayo. Don't write an essay. These are good pairings because you get the positive, negative, you get the comparison right away. Jorge, siéntate aquí. No te sientes allí. Sit here, don't sit there. Juana, tráeme el periódico. No me traigas las revistas. Tráeme, bring me, the newspaper. No me traigas las revistas. Don't bring me the magazines. Lola, oye a Ana. Lola, listen to Anna, or hear Anna. No oigas a Felipa. Don't hear or listen to Felipa. Now, what's the difference between hearing and listening to in Spanish? In this case, escuchar means to listen to with attention so that you understand. Oír, which usually means to hear, means to listen in the sense of pay attention. And that's how it's used here. Lola, oye a Ana. Pay attention to Anna. Hear her out, so to speak. No oigas a Felipe. Don't pay attention to Felipa. Cristobal, ponte el impermeable. Ponte. Put on. El impermeable, the impermeable. Raincoat. No te pongas la gabardina. La gabardina is what they use in this book, at least, to refer to just the trench coat, not the waterproof coat. The, what do you call that? Not the trench coat. The
Raincoat?
No, the impermeable is impermeable. That's the raincoat. The gabardina is the gabardine. It's like the dress coat that's not waterproof. I'm not sure. The overcoat, I guess. Eduardo, dime tu apellido. Edward, tell me your last name. No me digas tu nombre. Don't tell me your first name. Nombre is first name. Apellido is last name. Family name. Okay? So those two, tell me your name, okay, is vague to a Spanish speaker. They don't know whether you mean your family name or your given name. Okay? Nombre is the given name, the personal first name. Apellido is the family name. And that's important so much in Spanish-speaking countries because the typical way to have a name is to have a first name, the last name of your father, followed by the last name of your mother. So they're double last names. Pepa, sal a las 3. Pepa, leave at 3. No salgas a las 2. Don't leave at 2. Sara, ve al teatro. Ve is not from ver, it's from ir. Go to the theater. No vayas al cine. Don't go to the movie house. We in English say theater and we mean the movie house, the cinema sometimes, but the distinction is real clear in Spanish. Laura, acuéstate temprano. From acostarse, to lie down or go to bed. Acuéstate, go to bed early. No te acuestes tarde, don't go to bed late. Felipe, ven a las 4. Come at 4, Philip. No vengas a las 5:30. Don't come at 5:30. Because you'll miss the 4 o'clock show.
Question?
Yes.
I'm going to spell these out so OIR and ESCUCHAR are essentially the same?
No. They can overlap, but they're not essentially the same. They're essentially different. But when, let's see if in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sixth line, Lola, oye Ana. Hear Ana. No oigas a Felipa. Now, if that were escuchar, it would be Lola, escucha a Ana. No escuches a Felipa. Now, what's the difference? In this case, escuchar means to listen with more care, more of escuchar, to find out the facts of what the sound is. Oír is the in this case, it means hearing in the sense of understanding and maybe even agreeing with. So in this case, Lola, oye Ana, no oigas a Felipa. Apparently Ana is telling her, to go with that guy, and Felipa is telling her to go with somebody else. So it's an opinion thing here. So this is like two different people giving advice to Lola. And the advice is listen to Ana, just disregard Felipa. There is a lot of overlap between escuchar and oír. Think of, in this case, oír is like hear in the sense of hearing out, paying attention to. Top of page 263, we are right on time. The imperative with vosotros. It's easy in the positive. You just take the infinitive and substitute the final R with a D. Decid eso is the second example from decir. You all, vosotros, say that. Estudiad algo, study something. Now, what happens with reflexives? They get tacked onto the end. Sentaos, because the D disappears. Instead of sentados, it's sentaos. Aquí, sit here. You all sit here. Haced eso, do that. The first line, no digáis eso. That's the subjunctive. It's the negative command. No estudiéis tanto. Subjunctive, negative command. No sentéis aquí. That's subjunctive of sentarse. No os sentéis. Os, remember, is the object form of vosotros. No hagáis eso. Read the caption above the picture on page 262, and below the picture on page 260. We'll talk about those next time. And the oral practices we'll really need to do in class, but you might want to run through them on your own. If you have a partner, maybe that person can read one line and you can respond with the other. Any further questions? Comments? Did you have fun?
Alan says, good job, Tom. Thanks for all.
Well, all I did was read the text. So my job was easy because I already know this stuff. And your job is a challenging one. because it is confusing. There are lots of moving parts. I understand that. So you just have to kind of like bear with it, come back to it later. Don't try to learn something new like this that's complicated in one sitting. It's just, it won't be effective that way.
And Liviana said, thank you. Happy Easter to everyone.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, hasta la próxima.